Hi everyone, this is Tammy, owner of Worthyworthitpriceless, and today's podcast is titled Give It to God and Go to Sleep. So recently, alright, I'll just start it out like this. If you don't know me, I'm like mostly always, super independent. And the thing or the problem that occurs with that and how independent that I am is that you could be like so independent. Like, I know that God is going to make a way, but sometimes I don't pray about the situation because I'm like, oh, God is going to make a way. And, you know, just basically that, like, oh, God is going to make a way. So I don't really have to pray about it. I know He is guided and this, that, and the third. But the issue seemed to be, even though I knew that God was going to make a way, it was still weighing heavy on me. And it shouldn't have been. It's like, like should worry less or whatever. But the thing is that I felt like, even though I knew God was going to make a way, I still felt hopeless within different situations. And so one morning, I just came downstairs while Vea was asleep, and I turned off all the lights, and I began to not only pray, but actually just open up to God and just tell Him the truth. We had a good old cry, got out of every emotion. By the time I was done, I felt sleepy. And I ended up going upstairs and basically going to sleep. When I woke up, I felt so refreshed. I felt like everything was taken care of or whatever. I really didn't even, it seemed like I didn't even remember what I prayed about or anything, but it felt like I just had a brand new awakening, and just basically peace came all over me. And that's the encouragement that I want to give you. I never thought that I was going to actually, in the midst of a storm, be able to go to sleep. I know in the Bible, I believe it was Peter, and he had people actually coming, I believe, to try to attack him or something like that. And instead of him basically, worrying about it or whatever, he went to sleep in the midst of a storm. And even when the disciples was on the boat and there was a storm raging, Jesus was asleep. They had to wake him up. And I used to be like, man, listen, if I had people out there trying to kill me or this, that, and the third, or I had a storm, I could never imagine myself just going to sleep. And that's the one thing that I actually did. It's like, because once you've done all you can, ain't nothing else that you can do. There is nothing else that you can do. I can't go and make any of my situations better because I'm not in control. God is in control of those situations. And I believe for us, we have to give God back control. I've said it a lot, I've said it a lot. But we live in a society where we can just basically pick up our phone and order food to our house. We can, we can just make things actually appear just by either our voice, getting on our phone or anything. We want to listen to a song, we can call Alexa or Amazon or Google or, anything like that. Call it out now, and then your favorite song will start playing. If you want your lights turned off, you can tell, Google or whatever, turn off your lights. You don't even have to touch a light switch or anything. And so a lot of times when that happens, we fail to realize that life actually doesn't work that same way. And it takes time for certain things. And while it's taking time for those things to develop, let God develop patience and peace inside of you. A lot of times we just, like I said, we just want everything to happen when we say we want it to happen. But a lot of times, if it happens that fast or that quick, something else would get messed up. It's kind of like a domino effect. While you're waiting on God to act, pray to God that He's working on you so you're not focused on that problem. Because what's the worst thing that happen is God blesses you with the blessing or whatever that you're praying for. As soon as you get it, you mess it up because your mind isn't mentally where it should be. Because while you were waiting for God to do what He was supposed to do or what you believe that He's going to do, you're worried about the problem and not worried about or not focused on God fixing you or getting you in the right frame of mind. So what I'm praying for you, what I would like for you to pray for is let God work on you. Surrender to God and let Him work on you while He's working on the problem. I say this from experience. God has given me in the past exactly what I prayed for. But that same example that I gave you, it was me. I was praying for things and God gave it to me. But while I was praying for those things, I was still worrying about the situation. And then when I got it, and I was like, oh, okay, I really didn't know what to do with it. And I really didn't cherish it. And I messed it up. And so like, man, I was stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like in hindsight, it's 2020. Like, man, that was. So if while I was waiting, I should have allowed God to work on me, strengthen me, and get me to where I needed to be. So that when He did bless me, I was able to enjoy it, and I was able to enjoy the good and the bad. And I was praying for, once the bad came, I had strength to go through it, but I didn't. So with that, I don't want you obviously to be like that. So that's why I'm giving you this encouragement. And also, don't be so independent that you can't pray to God about your problems. We all know that He's a way maker and He's going to make a way and everything like that. But the thing is, too, is that you have to let go of control and give it to God. Surrender to God and let Him do His job. Don't tell Him how to do His job or anything like that. Just give it to Him and go to sleep. The problem with us is that we want to say, hey, God, here, this is the problem that I'm having. And then we pace back and forth and we worry God and we're asking God, okay, so when is it going to happen? I know you're going to do it, so when are you going to do it? That's not how it works. Go to sleep, go continue living your life, and then out of the blue, it will happen for you. You never know. Once you wake up, you might get the phone call that you were asking for. All God needed you to do was to activate your power. Activate your faith in Him and know that He's going to do it for you. You'll never get there if you're just worrying about it all the time, because you're going to end up messing up your own self. But then then when you start worrying about it, then all of a sudden doubt is going to start coming in and fear. And it's like, oh, what if God doesn't do it? And even if He doesn't do it at that time, it's going to come at the right time. And even if He doesn't do that, He will do something else greater. Maybe your dream is too small for what He's about to do for you. So let Him have complete and utter control over what you want. Surrender to God. Let Him know that you trust Him. Have a good old cry. Because another thing where I realized too was when I sat down and I was, about to tell God everything. It was like I had no one else to tell. I didn't want to go through the problems with anybody else. I didn't want anything to get out. And then also, too, when you start telling people stuff, it ain't like they can change anything. They can't change the situation for you. The only person that can change it is you, that person, and God, or something like that. But if it's another person involved, if their mind isn't there yet, or may never get there, they'll never change. So the only person that can do that is God. So at the end of the day, that's how I felt. I felt like, okay, I was hopeless. I was helpless in the situation. And it's like, all right, cool. You know what? Because God isn't going to judge you. He's not going to laugh at you. He's not going to embarrass you or anything like that. So just give it to him instead of sitting up here trying to give it to everybody else who's, they're not going to give you the right advice, and not even that you need advice. After you give it to them, you might feel better about venting, but then you don't know if they're going to put your business out on the street. You know how that goes. But give it to God and know that no one else is going to hear your problems or your worries or your stresses. And everything will work out for you. Just take it one step at a time. Everything will work out. And just trust and believe in God. And know that no matter what path you're going on the right path. And even if you're not, God will make it the right path. He'll make it crooked ways straight. You'll be straight. You'll be all right. So until next time, believe and know that you are worthy, worth it, and priceless.